Alright, well, today is going to be another tier list. Unfortunately, that means I have to use my microphone, and I don't like talking, but I guess it's better than being awkward or shy, right? Like I say as I'm coping, but today I'm doing a drone tier list. Combines all of the crew drones as well as the external, like, orbital drones, so things like defense drones, combat drones, you know the deal. Shorter list than usual because there is, like, obviously a good variety of drones to use, but like the grand scheme of how many different drones there actually are isn't, like, absurd. If you look, like, throughout the list, there's sometimes like a weird sprite file or two for the for crew drones because I couldn't find the sprite file. They're like the technopath variants, but we can pretend that the technopaths that volunteered are so good at the job that this just looks like a iron intruder regardless, right? It's picture perfect. So, anyways, that's going to be what I'm doing today. Shouldn't take too long. It actually might even be short because this is probably one of the shorter tier lists I've done, besides like something like Unique Crew, which only have like what 19, 20 items to rank. This is more about like 83, 82 from what I remember, maybe a bit less, but this should be done pretty quick. Not in the sense like I'm gonna rush it. Of course, I'll take my time, but I was considering combining this video with something like maybe a boss tier list, like a final boss, mini boss tier list, however you want to phrase it. But I figured just for today, I could do one tier list. Maybe I'll like ramble a little just for the sake of, I don't know, taking more time so the video is longer. And I don't know. We'll see what we get. It's funny enough, I'm not really like in a super like good tier list ranking mood, but I think the longer I do this, I think the more comfortable it'll get. So, and plus, like, to be honest, the drones aren't really that in depth. I mean, they are pretty straightforward. It's just a matter of like how strong are they really, and I mean, I say that in the sense of like it's not like as if this tier list is just like off the top of my head, just like ranking shit based off if I like it or not. Obviously, there's going to be some varying opinions based off this equipment, just the human nature of multiple people playing a video game. They're gonna have disagreements, right? But I think overall the drones aren't in depth, but they have like objectivity to them, right? Just as much as they would be subjective. But regardless, we can just start doing this list and see where we end up in, like, I don't know, an hour, maybe two. Hopefully not two, but let's get going. Did I play this? Yeah, okay. Alright, well, up first, I guess I'll just go from down the list, I suppose. I don't know. Maybe I'll get the crew drones out the way first. Should I? Yeah, let's do crew drones first. So I'll pick through the list. But first up, we have Asshole. Asshole isn't a, well, besides the fact he's considered a unique crew, I put him B tier for now. He's gonna go in A tier, but just for now he's there. Asshole isn't a like crew you can, or an item drone you can obtain like super frequently. You can duplicate him obviously by using like Magic Hat and such like that. And he's similar in the way like how you would find Ghana. He's just in like one event. Unique, obviously, and that's about him for his rarity. But his actual use is quite good. He costs 1 power. He heals, and he does like basically 3 different functions. He's like a doctor drone combined with a battle drone combined with like a repair drone in a way. Also, like maybe a manager if you want to fit that into. He heals allies. Deals damage, the same amount of damage as a mantis, and then man skills at level 2. And I think he repairs at a base human speed, from what I remember. He is capable of repair. That's right. Right? I'm not going crazy. Yeah, he should be capable of repairing. If he's somehow not, then like I don't know. I'm trolling, but if he's capable of repairing, he's obviously gonna be. He's really well rounded. Like, only reason why I don't put him S tier is because if you look through this list, there's gonna be some crazy ass drones happening. So he's very good. I don't mind using Asshole, but there's sometimes like just better drones, not at his job, but just in general, to like have that drone slot occupied. Because in your drone control, most ships have like 2 to 3, and you know, instead of like 4, like something like an NG Cruiser maybe might have. So it's not in the sense of like, okay, asshole is like weak and I'm not gonna put him on the bar. It's more like, hey, I just have so much better, like stronger utility drones that do more for me right now. So I can't really equip to asshole, right? But that's besides the point. Good drone, obviously. I don't mind using him. He's also really good with technopaths to mimic him. Atomizer drones are like B or A. There's gonna be a lot of instances, like same nature as like an atom drone, where it's very good to like use, like in combat, but when it comes down to like buying or equipping it and like, you know, powering it to make sure it's actually doing its job, that's kind of where it falls apart. I'll probably speak a bit more like when I go towards the drones that like it actually directly affects, things like maintenance drones or iron shooter drones. But for right now, I'll basically just leave it off that it's very expensive. It's cost 4 reactor power, and the drone itself isn't very like it doesn't like solo an entire ship most of the time, much less against obelisk ships, which is where you you can get atomizer drones in the obelisk sectors, and even atoms themselves don't really fare like insanely well against obelisks. Obviously, if you do like kiting strats, or if you got like drone boosters, you get some kind of support for the atom. Of course, it'll then be able to take out a few obelisks for what it's worth. But overall, it's not like you can deploy one atom drone and it kills off the entire obelisk ship that you're fighting. So I think it's good for what it does. It's definitely really good for like an anti-personnel perspective, but I wouldn't go out of my like absolute way to use it. I would put it C tier, but considering like how good it is for like utility, if you want to use it for like personnel purposes, like anti-personnel, like you could say, it's probably good. You could use it for crew killing, obviously too, but you can also just use like on with the crew killing and such, because he's literally an obelisk that teleports around. But Atom's good. I'm not like gonna shit on it just because it's expensive to play. It's obviously good. Royal Atomizer though is like so like absurdly more powerful than the regular Atomizer. Same amount of combat damage, but it attacks like I think what at 3 times speed, while the Atomizer only attacks at double speed. It's got 5 more HP, which is like, I mean, it's not like that's not the deal breaker for it, but the deal breaker being it costs 1 less reactor power. So it's a 3 power drone that has like the effective damage output of like what, like 1.5 MFK aces, and it attacks well, actually maybe even 2 MFK aces considering how fast it actually attacks. And the only downside that I could see is being that it still is not very like tanky. It's 45 HP isn't like, not 45, sorry, 65. It isn't like horrible for a drone, but it isn't really amazing either. It's obviously better off than the regular Atomizer drone, but you can't exactly obtain the Royal Atomizer like on every single ship you play. It's exclusive to like 3 in the game, and like in as far as player cruisers are concerned. But regardless, it's obviously like going to be performing very well. I guess that's another like note I could say now that it's kind of relevant, is that rarity isn't really playing a role in these drone ranks. I mean, they can play a little bit of a role, like if it's like a drone that you can literally find 1 of in the entire game. But otherwise, I feel like the rarity isn't really going to matter that much, because, I mean, my playstyle, at least, I'm not super like dependent on drones. I mean, like base multiverse. Obviously, my recent modded content is like obviously I use drone control almost like every other run, but that's, you know, with mods and shit. Base multiverse, I probably wouldn't buy drone control as often as I do for like a regular multiverse run. If I'm going Nexus and True Ending, then, you know, we have a different story. But in general, I'm not buying drone control all the time, so I don't think rarity is going to matter that much. You could argue it's like, okay, you should consider if you're able to obtain a drone very often, assuming you have like that drone control playstyle. But it's still like, you can't, I'm not going to deny reality and say like, oh, you know, rarity matters. It's, well, let me rephrase that. Obviously, if you can find more than 1 of the drone itself, assuming the drone actually wants support, then like it's good. But I'm not gonna like for example, I'm not gonna shit on asshole just because you can only find him in one event. Because if you find him in one event, he's good. Like he's a good drone. So I'm not gonna say, oh, he's weak because you can't find like 4 of him. You know, he's good. So without that rant out of the way, Royal Atomizer definitely S tier. It's pretty damn good. Like the enemy AI isn't very good at using it, but for the player, it's so good at kiting. It's amazing. I would see this drone being like actually broken if it had some way of like breaking down doors very fast. Well, its attack speed obviously plays into that, but I'm talking as in like what you call it, like phasing through doors, for example, and such like that. That would be like, wow, it'd be ridiculous, but as is now, it's very good. So up next we have the Butler drone, which is I think it's a direct upgrade from the regular battle drone, the Mark 1. I think it has slightly more HP, a bit more movement speed, and maybe more combat damage. I don't know exactly, but the main attraction of it being it has an active ability, albeit like an occasional active ability. You can't control it, but it'll stun all the enemies in the room for like 8 or 9 seconds, from what I remember. And I think it costs the same reactor power, like 2 reactor power, as like a regular anti-personnel or what do you call it? Like personnel drone, you could battle drone. There we go. The regular battle drone does what the Mark 1. I would put it A tier, but honestly, it's not. It's another unique drone you can find in like one event, the Pleasure Barge, but it's not something I'm going to go out of my way to use. Obviously, I mean you could argue the same thing for Asshole, but at least Asshole is like really good for what he does anyway. The Butler drone is just like slightly better stats for what it's worth, but I'm not ecstatic to use a Butler drone. Like, let's be real here. Divine Repair is honestly like could be S tier material. I'm gonna say it's like right on the verge of being S. The only reason why it's not S tier is because well, how about we just describe the drone first? So it's basically Divine Repair. It's a zero cost maintenance drone. It moves faster, repairs like not like quite the double of the rate of the regular maintenance drone, but it repairs very fast, and it's got a little bit more health from what I remember. It's found in one event inside the Crystalline Origins, which you go to using Ruin in his the Throxy Badlands. Yeah, that's just all there is to it. From what I understand, from like my opinion of it, it's basically like a regular multiverse, like a regular, like, I don't know, non-obelisk equivalent of a Mender, in my opinion. Because it's got really close stats for the repairing speed. Mender's obviously higher, but at one point the repair speed the repair speed value, when it's so high, it kind of just plateaus on itself, because it's just kind of dumb to have that much repair speed. But anyways, it has like it has a very good amount for what it's worth, you know, 0 reactor power. And more or less it's free to play. The only downside I could really see with it is that it's basically just a really beefed maintenance drone, which means it has no other real applicable uses besides just the maintenance drone. You could bait with it, I suppose. It's usable maybe if like your drone control is completely down, you can still use the Divine Repair, which is quite nice. You can even deploy it if your drone control is completely down, as long as you have drone parts, obviously. But yeah, it's also really good. I would say this is right on the verge of being S tier. Not quite S tier because, like, what's a good way of putting it? I suppose if I'm not an auto ship, I don't put it. I wouldn't immediately use it because I'm using a lot of other crew. You know, when I support the crew at least, and when you have a lot of different crew that can do different functions, like if you got like, you know, just a bunch of cultists, for example. Let's say you just staffed your ship a bunch of cultists with Ruin, with Vortigern, whoever else. The maintenance don't lose value because obviously you have more bodies, you have more like meat shields on your ship. So the maintenance drone or the Divine Repair, you lose a little value there. But in general, I would use it very often, assuming I can actually, like, you know, like want to use it. If you look at my order runs, I do sell it often, but that's more because of the stage of the game. It doesn't really matter if I use it or not, and maybe I have a better drone, right? Like something like a combat drone that's helping me out more, or maybe a director drone or some nonsense like that. But anyways, yeah, good drone, obviously. Verge S tier, but not quite S tier, just because it isn't like an instant use every time you get it. Director drone, as I referenced before, though, on the other hand, is absurdly powerful drone for what it's worth. In my eyes, it's kind of like the payload. It's like the drone equivalent of like a payload. And ironically enough, you find it in the same spot. You find it in the recovery site. The director drone can also be found outside the recovery site, just like payload. It can be found in like trapped ruins and regular ruins and like the wastelands and well, recovery site. But besides the point, that's besides the point. The director drone has like the stat wise, it's got I think slightly increased health. It's what else is there? Oh, it reveals adjacent reveals adjacent rooms. It mans systems at not times 2. It mans systems at level 2 skill. It's a crew drone, by the way. It manages systems. I think you probably knew that, but just to get that out of the way. Oh, and the main attraction, of course, being that it costs 2 power to use, but outputs 4 Zoltan power in the system it's in. So if you think of it, it's basically you spend 2 react power to then gain another 2 back. So you input 2, output 4, and it can be absurdly good on like shield system, for example. It's giving you a lot of good reactor power, which wants to be put into shield system anyway, as well as making 2 shield layers ion immune. Of course, the director drone isn't like capable of repairing, so you're gonna need some crew to help it out, but as long as you have that crew or some means of, you know, not of letting the director drone do its job, it's so powerful for what it does that, like, wow, it's honestly astonishing how good the director drone can sometimes be. I think the only possible downside I see of it is that it uses up a drone control slot. Because sometimes when I'm like in the very late game true ending and I kind of want to use I want to use like an additional like harbinger drone or combat drone, and then end up, you know, I can't because I need to use the reactive power from the director drone, but I also can't use the combat drone because, you know, the director drone is taking up its slot. But for actual like practical use, like complaining aside, it's such a good drone. It's so good. It's commonly found too. Technopaths that mimic the director are like beyond this world, obviously, and that's kind of all there is to it. Counts as Aether Tech as well. I think I've been forgetting to say that, but atomizers and the director drone count as Aether Tech. So, you know, you can basically, let's say if you're just going like playing a regular multiverse run and you're like an NG or maybe a crystal sector, you stumble upon a director drone, you can just get an anomaly detector just like that. You know, who knows, but. Yeah, obviously such a good utility drone for what it does. The power it supplies is so juicy and nice to use. Up next we got the Doctor drone, probably like A or B tier, like right around hovering this entire region. Let's say like the dead middle of B tier. I think it costs 2 reactor power to use. It's got 2 things going on. It's got it heals allies for a considerable amount of HP. I think it's slightly higher than 2 times the rate of a level 2 medbay. And then obviously if you have other upgrades, you can make it heal people even faster. But it heals very well. I think it also takes slightly less combat damage. So in a way, it's kind of like a tank, like the Doctor drone, but it doesn't really do much else. But for what it does, it's honestly pretty good. I don't use it super often, but I have used it before, and it definitely helped. I think the first thing that comes to mind is like Engineer B, when I used it for like, maybe not board support, because I kind of sold that one, but I'd always keep one on board just because even after I got Clone Bay, it still helped a little, because maybe I was like running low on crew and needed needed some way of actually having my crew stand a chance against like enemies with a lot of borders, for example. And the Doctor drone does that. The Doctor drone does that with its healing. The healing is quite good. Ghana is like in the same place as Asshole, like I mentioned earlier. He's found in one event, the it's either the Union Core Worlds or the Michelin Encampment. I'm pretty sure it's the Union Core Worlds. Wait, is it? I can't even remember now. But it's the Kestrel event when you track down the brood, and then you track down like another set of aliens, and then you get Ghana at the very beginning of that like whole quest line and such. He costs 1 reactor power. He's immune to fire and stuns. Usually drones have a good stun resistance, but it isn't like invulnerable to stuns, and they do take fire damage. Ghana takes no fire damage and does not get stunned. He operates rooms at level 2 skills, and what else is there? I think he has slightly more movement speed. Oh, he also has ×2 combat damage. So in a way, he's a bit better than Asshole in all honesty, but not better in the sense of like a whole tier better. Because I've seen Asshole's healing ability be really, really good, especially when you combine him with like other boarding drones and shit like that. But Ghana is obviously very, very good for what he does. There's actually like in the Forgotten Races, there's a cruiser, like a unique cruiser, that's all about Ghana. You get 2 times Ghana, and with the drone booster, that's gonna be a really fun ship to play. But Ghana's good. Like he's obviously way better than a regular battle drone. You can even use some ship side. Like you could pretend Ghana is a crew member. So, but anyways, moving on from meat riding Ghana, making sure I'm not missing any crew drones here. Okay, up next we got the Hollow drone. This is actually like a renegade loot. But it does start on Osmane B as well, and you can buy it from like maybe if Sylvan is selling it like in a Renegade drop store or whatever. Unfortunately, the regular variant, the non-chaotic variant of it. By the way, we have chaos variants of drones here, but the regular variant of the Hollow drone, the hologram generator drone, is not amazing. I wouldn't say. Like, you could get some goofy stuff going on if you park it in a single room and just have it continuously spawn holograms all day long. But outside of that, it just doesn't really do that much anyway. Holograms aren't, like, insanely good crew. You have to dedicate a drone control slot to use the Hollow drone as well. Like, overall, I don't think it's, like... It's nothing, like, revolutionary. Like, it's obviously unique. It's good for what it does, like, a hologram generation. But... hologram generation, like in the broad sense, isn't like making or breaking your ship. Especially considering those holograms are not permanent. They last like what, 25 seconds? Obviously that's a good amount of time, but it's not making or breaking the drone, right? It's not making it like, oh, like it's an A tier drone because it summons holograms. Well, yeah, I mean, summoning crew is cool and all, but holograms aren't really like not game changing, you know. But I guess one really good use of it, though, would be that you can board with it and just spawn a bunch of holograms on an enemy ship. Problem is, the Hollow drone isn't, like, tanky by any means. It's got, like, less than 100 HP, and it's slow. It can't really kite super well, either, so... I don't know, like... I mean, you can obviously use it. It's not bad, but it just doesn't seem, like, super versatile for what it does, despite it, you know, literally spawning crew. But moving on, like, I would put it... I think C tier is a good spot for it because B tier implies it's like above average, and you would use it if you cared to, or if you never necessarily had to. But like B tier is often a B tier that, well, obviously B tier is B tier, but let me rephrase that. B tier is a tier list, a tiering that basically implies that you would go out of your way to use it. In a sense, like obviously you're not gonna. It's not like you gain, like you get the Doctor Drone and immediately you're going all in on Doctor Drone. Like obviously you're not gonna do that, but in general you're not gonna complain to really use a B tier drone. But hologram, I mean obviously you're not gonna complain to use it, but I don't see it performing as good as something like a Butler drone. Like, let's be real here. So. That's just kind of my thought process on it. It's obviously not bad. I'm not putting it D tier just because I don't like its gimmick. I don't, by the way, but it's objectively fine. Like I'm okay with it. I don't know. Selling is cool too, I guess, if I find it. The chaotic Hollow drone is a different story though. Funny enough, I don't know exactly how the coding works for this, but from what I understand is that it summons one permanent crew. And then it self-destructs. So it basically, is it what? Like it's one, from what I understand, it's one drone pod for a permanent crew. I don't know what the permanent crew means. I think it's a range from what I remember, but it's been a super long time since I used it. It was good from what I remember, and considering it's gonna spawn permanent crew anyway, and it does the same job as the regular hollow drone, just, you know, chaotic now, it's definitely just better. Depending on what permanent crew can spawn, it could even be A tier. But let's say, for example, if it only spawns permanent holograms, that would be good. But I wouldn't say it's like insanely better, right? It's good, but obviously not like A tier yet. Maybe it gets buffed. Who knows? Circling back to ancient drones, though, we got the Mender. This is probably like another drone that hovers around B and C. I think objectively it's a good drone for what it does, but I don't really care about using Mender super often. So it's as I said before, it's more or less an obelisk equivalent of a maintenance drone. 2 reactor power, 4 times repair speed. It heals allies nearby with 1 HP per second, which is like, I mean, I guess it's not nothing. It's just it's just a weird additional stat. It inflicts a stun to all enemies when it dies. Like if you park in a room, you can use it to stun enemies, which is, I mean, it's not its intended use, but I have seen it work pretty well when you use it like that. Anything else? Oh yeah, it counts as 8th attack, I guess. Yeah. Most of the time, if you watch the drone control runs or any kind of run where I'm going to a recovery site. I often use the Mender to, I mean, cannibalize, but it's not really cannibalism. I use the Mender drone as the blue option to recruit the Anointed more often than I actually use the Mender itself. That's more because the Mender's selling price, as well as its actual use, isn't something that I would use over, you know, recruiting the Anointed, and I'm certainly not gonna give the Anointed like a payload, right? So. Most of the time, I see this drone being used as like a buffer or maybe like a selling price, but it's common. And if you do want to use the common to acquire, and if you do want to use it, it is good. So that's kind of why I think the B tier mentality is nice for it. Royal Mender is literally like, well, obviously Royal equipment is a direct upgrade from regular Obelisk equipment, but Royal Mender in this case is like straight up, like in every way, it's a direct upgrade. It costs 1 reactor power, so 1 less. It gains a 0.5 times repair boost, so a total of 4.5. It inflicts a 12-second stun. I think it moves a little bit faster, and it heals allies for 2 HP per second versus just 1 HP per second. So like double the, basically, like you got multiple instances of doubling its stats for the most part. You're doubling the stats in terms of power efficiency, you know, costing 1 less. It's cut in half. As well as healing allies, and the repair speed, you could argue, is, I mean, it's obviously not double, it's not 8 times, but when it's like a drag race, when it comes down to like repairing a system, obviously the Royal Mender is like really good. Plus, I think it might have a little bit more movement speed. I don't know, but regardless, it's pretty good. As same thing as the Royal Atomizer, though, it can only come on like 3 different ships, and it's actually kind of a pain in the ass to fight, funny enough. I mean, the regular Mender is kind of annoying to fight as well, but the Royal Mender specifically, because let's say for like I think there isn't a worse feeling than when like you're in the Obelisk homeworlds, you're gonna get you can go for the Royal Transport and they have like a Royal Mender. Like that's just the worst feeling. I suppose it's not super hard to take down. Like they only have so much drone control power, but it's still just annoying that it exists. Well, I mean, it's good. It's a good drone. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying it should be removed. It's good. But when you're fighting against it, like the enemy is using 4.5 times repair speed on this shit, it's obviously annoying to fight. But outside of that, player use, it's very good. I mean, it's literally like absurd compared to a regular maintenance drone. So. Anyways, what's up next? Let's see, making sure I don't miss anything. Okay. Up next, we got the regular battle drone, which is like just average, I suppose. Regular battle drone, the Mach 1 variant. It's got slightly more HP. It's like 150 from what I remember. Maybe a bit less. 1.1 times combat damage, so like 10% better than a regular human. and it moves kind of fast, I guess. I think times 8. Well, no, not times 8 movement speed. 0.8 movement speed. So a little bit slower than a human, but not by much. It wins 1v1. It can win 1v1s kind of well against like regular standard crew, but it kind of falls off kind of pretty quickly, you know, without support at least. With drone booster, obviously drone booster for any amount of crew drones would be really good, but for battle drones specifically, they do gain a lot of value because they kind of suck at kiting, and despite their like a good amount of HP, they do get taken down kind of quickly when you're fighting like large amounts of crew. So for them being able to kite or like take 1v1s instead of fighting like one big group of people, the battle drones are good. Like 1v1s, right? I think I said that right, but regardless, it's average. I wouldn't be ecstatic to use it. I've used it before. It's okay, but I wouldn't go out of my way to use it. The Mark II is basically a direct upgrade though. It's a bit more costly to use. It's 3 reactor power. It does the same damage as a Mantis though. It's 1.5 times combat damage with 200 HP. So it's basically like a slightly, it's like a Rock and a Mantis combined in a way, but obviously just not like not like a direct combination. It's a bit different, but anyways, it moves slightly slower though. And funny enough, the battle drone is actually really slow to arrive at the enemy hull. A lot of different crew drones or border drones, when you send them to enemy ship, they have a travel time, obviously, right? You know, I just realized. But anyways, I don't know why I broke my sentence up, but battle drone, the Mark II takes it takes actually a long time to travel to the enemy hull. So you basically have to deploy it like right away if you want it to be used, well, like right away. I will say though the combat damage is quite nice. For costing 1 more reactor power, it's definitely not bad. Funny enough, for drones, the power efficiency isn't really as hefty of a concern as something like what weapons would be, for example. It sounds a little weird to say, but hear me out on this. Drone control isn't really meant to be a super elaborate system most of the time. Obviously, if you're on like an NG cruiser, something that's dependent on drones, things change. But in general, you're not really meant to, but you're not really going to go out of your way to have a super stacked drone control system, right? You're not gonna have like super efficient drones all the time. It just doesn't happen. But that said, drone power efficiency for drones doesn't really matter as long as their job is fulfilled. For example, like that's why the atomizer, despite its actual like power cost being quite high, 4 reactor power for a single drone is kind of bad, like for a crew drone of all things, but its actual like in-game use for fighting enemies is really good. It doesn't really matter if it costs 4 reactor power because it can be used very well. Same thing as the battle drone Mark II. The Mark 1, you could argue that as well, but I mean, I don't know. I think the Mark II is just better. The Mark II is a better single unit, right? Like if we're combining one Mark II, if we're contrasting one Mark II battle drone versus one Mark II battle drone, yeah, Mark 1 versus Mark 2, the one Mark II is obviously just gonna win because it's just, you know, better stats. But in general, like how you play multiverse, it's the 1 reactor power increase in cost, like to use it, is not really noticeable at all. It's a good drone. Up next, we got the Separatist loot of the Separatist. What? The Separatist loot of the Mark 1 battle drone. I think it repairs itself out of combat without needing to be in a drone control system, and it becomes immune to fires. And it might move a little bit faster, but don't quote me on that. It's obviously just like I don't know. I put a B tier just because like it's not any worse. And immune to fire now could open up for some good utility like for like boarding strats and whatever. Plus the immune to fire is kind of good as well, just for drones in general. Drones do suffer a lot from like fire damage, not in the sense of like, oh, they take more fire damage. Obviously they don't die, they don't drop dead from fire. But it's just annoying when like you're doing when you're doing like a boarding strats with battle drones and they end up dying because of like fire and stupid shit like that. The Separatist loot doesn't struggle with that, like, at all. It actually heals outside of combat. So if you're like in a big room with a bunch of fire and like enemies aren't coming in anymore because they're too low to fight you in the fire, you can just wait, let your Separatist drone heal up, and then just deploy, not deploy it, but just send it out and then start fighting again, right? Plus, it has no debuffs, no trade-offs or side grades from the regular Mark 1. It just gains stats, so I consider that good enough to be above average. What else? Anything I'm missing? Nope. Alright, next we got the Recon. Probably right around B or A. I would say, let's say like low A tier. High B tier, low A tier. A tier just for the sake of A tier, I guess. But, it costs no reactive power to use, and man, this is one of the most interesting, one of the more interesting drones in the game. It doesn't really have a direct use. It cannot fight. It cannot repair. It cannot manage systems. So you're thinking, okay, what the hell is this drone doing? Well, it says in the name. It recons the enemy ship or your own ship if you care to, but. It destroys doors insanely fast. I think it destroys doors at a rate of like 6 humans or 7 humans maybe. It has very good tankiness. It's like 70 HP while only taking like 0.6 combat damage from enemy crew and such. And when it dies, it lights fires, and I think it has a chance to deal a point of system damage. I have used this really well in conjunction with like battle drones that need another like meat shield, right? Basically, what I've seen this do is that you can have like one recon drone and one battle drone, and they just kind of go hand in hand, right? And the other use of it being ship side, when you can just distract enemies, just have a meat shield. It's kind of the same logic as a Separatist in a way, except now it just doesn't really, it doesn't do everything. Instead of being like a regular Separatist doing like literally everything, it's now just a Separatist that's always in nanite mode, and a Separatist in nanite mode is just that good anyway. So recon drone is definitely very good. I guess two downsides of it being like, if you aren't really using its like utility use of like just distracting enemies, breaking down doors, and other crazy shit, it's not really doing anything else besides just meat shielding. It literally doesn't. It can't repair, can't fight, it can't do much of anything. But anyways, oh, and the second downside being selling it yields you 12 scrap. From what I understand, this isn't intended, or at least not meant to be as low as 12 scrap, but it's, present day for Multiverse, it's a thing to consider, because it's, 12 scrap, like, gee, I can buy 2 fuel cells with that. No, you can buy 4 fuel cells, but besides the point. Good drone, obviously. Low A, high B. Maintenance drone is, the regular maintenance drone is probably about B or C tier. Talked about it a little bit when I was talking about like Menders and the Divine Repair. It's good at its job, and I could use it if maybe I'm like struggling on some kind of crew, for like ship side as like meat shield or maintenance. Good stats all around. One reactive power to use. What is it? I can't remember the repair rate. Damn it! I think it's 2.5, maybe less. But with drone booster, it gets really funny. It moves super fast, and its repairing is quite good as well. Extinguishes fires very well. Repairs breaches very well. Maintenance drone is immune to fire, by the way, because otherwise it'd be kind of a shit maintenance drone if it wasn't. What else is there really? I guess the only big downside of it being it isn't tanky at all. So like you can use it to kite enemy crew on your ship, but be aware that it's gonna die in like 5 hits. It's not tanky. So that's the only real downside I can think of it. In terms of like repair drones are concerned. I don't know. I guess I don't mind using it. I wouldn't mind selling it either. Repair drones aren't rare, so. The Ancient Roomba, probably like S or A, maybe like just A tier. This is one of like the silliest drones in the game. So it's 2 reactor power, and it's AI controlled when you deploy it. But I'm pretty sure it's got like the effective damage of like an atomizer, and it constantly drains oxygen. Atomizers drain oxygen too, by the way, but Roombas drain it at the rate of like, I don't know, like 3 atomizers. And I think it attacks kind of fast as well, and it might even have like really good door breaking attributes. I think it also has a good amount of HP, but I mean, obviously I don't like use it when I'm in the ancient sector because I just don't really bother to. I mean, I've scaled past care. I don't really want to use the Roomba. But let's say hypothetically I started with the Roomba. It's good, obviously. AI controlled can be quite a bad thing for it, especially for like a drone of all things. But because of how much it just steamrolls enemies anyway, well, when it's like has like decent, okay support and it's not fighting like obelisks. Like if it's fighting regular humans, it's winning easily. But in general, like the general scene of Multiverse, it's okay to use. For obelisk sectors, like it's whatever. But for like anything else, I can see it working very well. Plus the Roomba, it cleans the ship up as well. It doesn't really, but Surgeon Drone is a renegade drop, probably like A or B tier. I would say A tier because it's a direct upgrade from the Doctor Drone. It's got the same stats as the Doctor Drone, except it now can deal. Does the same amount of damage as a Mantis, except it has increased attack speed, so it's more like 2.5 Mantis in a way. Healing allies, so 7 HP per second, and it attacks enemy crew. You can use it the shipboard and use it in conjunction with like other battle drones. It's basically like an asshole 2.0. Not a direct upgrade because obviously it can't man systems anymore. It doesn't repair, but it does have that increased attack speed, and with drone booster it can get very, very silly. Well, also good. I'm okay with using it. Up next, we got the Chaos Surgeon, which is more or less just an alternative. It no longer can attack crew, and it has a bit less overall tankiness, but it heals crew at 50 HP per second. Like 50 HP per second. So they really can't die unless they get instant killed. So that's kind of all there is to it. Basically, just have it ship side. You can have it work as if it's a med bay in a way, as long as you use it properly and don't have it just die. But regardless, it's obviously good. The trading off of attack speed for just comical amounts of healing is honestly really good. I don't mind that kind of attribute of it. And what else can I say about it? With drone boosted, it also gets pretty silly as well. More healing, more speed, more kiting, you know, onward. Yin Yang is like maybe A or S tier. Let's put like high A tier, low S tier. It's got 2 modes. The boarding mode, it has very high combat, like insanely high combat damage. I think it's like ×2 combat damage, and then like a 3 times range multiplier. So it's like the effective damage of like a bishop and a half at range. In melee, it's obviously good too, but at range, it's like holy shit. Ship side, it has 3 times repair speed and manned systems, from what I remember. And I think it might heal and allies. maybe not though, but anyways, it's basically kind of like what Asshole and Ghana do as well. They either use ship side or boarding to kill enemies, and in both cases the Yin Yang does very good. Like really, really good. I would put it S tier. In fact, it's probably like even like deserving of low S tier. It's a 2-power drone, by the way. Only reason why is just because I don't really use it super often for what it does, and it's good obviously, but it can solo some ships, some enemy factions very easily. But I don't know, like this is a drone tier list, and Yin Yangs are very good. Not absurd though. It's not something I'm gonna go always out of my way to use. It's very good, but someone just speak? Oh wait, no. It's the soundtrack, this voice lines, but anyways, the Yin Yang is good. Let's just say but before I just contradict myself by saying it's good but then not put it S tier. It's low S tier but high A tier. I would say it leans more in high A tier than it leans more into low S, but in any case, it's a very, very good. The Chaotic Yin Yang though is literally a direct upgrade, so obviously it's going to be S tier. It has all modes at once for either shipside or boarding. and it provides one additional power to the system it's in, and I think it might gain some health or whatever. It's pretty ridiculous. And it still costs 2 reactor power to use as well, so I mean, it's a direct upgrade and insane upgrades at that, so yeah. I think the main attraction of it, besides the big reactor power, is that all of its statistics, all of its its 2 different modes are active at once, which means if you're using it ship side, it has a repair benefit as well as having that comical amount of range damage benefit. So it's basically like imagine if Technopaths can mimic like the Yin Yang drones, like that would be something else. But from what I remember, it can't. Like I'm pretty sure it cannot. If it does, then please tell me. But I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Regardless, obviously a good drone. Well, absurdly good drone, and that's all there is to that. I think last we have the Ion Shooter, if I'm not mistaking something here. Yeah, we got Ion Shooter last. Ion Shooter, this is the one I've wanted to talk about the most because it's I've changed my opinion on Ion Shooter a lot lately. It used to be like one of the worst drones in my eyes, but then over time, as I see more and more use of it, as I see more and more potential of what its ion damage does, it's honestly really good. I think like, the best way I can put it is like this. Ion Shooter is very good for what it does. 3 ion damage, I think a 12 or 14 second stun. It's tanky and you can control it all the time and just have it indefinitely ion one room if you care to. That is very good. However, it's the same principle as buying things. What do I mean by that? Let's take an analogy of a crew, for example. Let's say you're in Sector 4 and 5. And for crew specifically, you could use some crew. Maybe for maintenance, maybe for ship side, maybe for boarding, who knows. But you aren't really gonna die. You aren't gonna die this sector. Like you're in a stable spot. You just could use some more tools so that you like snowball and scale past care, and you just win the game anyway. Ion Shooter is that sort of crew that you want to use, but you don't want to buy. So if I find an Ion Shooter for free, that's pretty cool. That's actually really nice. But if I find it in the store and I don't desperately need it, I honestly don't think I'm going to buy it. Like, it's for its value through reactor power and like 70 scrap or maybe 65 scrap, that's good. But to buy it, to use it, is a different story. And that's kind of why it's in B tier. Would I use it? Would I go out of my way to use it? Maybe. But would I like immediately buy the drone control system and upgrade for it the moment I get it, like the same way I would for like directed drone or chaotic, the yin yang? No. But anyways, the 2 main attractions of it, now that my analogy is over, is that Ion Shooters break down doors pretty fast from what I remember, and there is actually an exploit. Enemy AI doesn't know how to do this. Well, they do. They just don't like exploit it. If you just Ion Shooter drones, from what they do is that they go, usually when the AI controlled, they just go around from one system to another, just ioning it, adjacent rooms at least. When the enemy ship it's on, or the ship it is on, has no doors, like nothing is impeding it from just moving to the system, it's on a cooldown. I think the cooldown is something like right around exactly 15 seconds. So it can't indefinitely chain on its own ion stack, but it can like constantly apply that ion. When it's going from room to room and it's not impeded by any doors, that cooldown is activated. However, if it has to break down through even just level 2 blast doors, the cooldown doesn't happen, and it instantly can ion the system the moment it breaks down the door. As far as the player is concerned, the game registers that cooldown like what you call it. Well, let's think of a different phrasing. The cooldown that the Ion Shooter is supposed to have when it goes between systems doesn't happen if you just like love tap the door and then re-park the Ion Shooter and just let it Ion yet again. So I think you can kind of see why that would be a broken utility use of it. But outside of that, I don't know. Still can't, like, I still, even with that broken ability to, like, bypass that, like, most likely unintentional cooldown. Well, the cooldown itself is intentional, but to be able to bypass it with just love tapping a door and then re-parking the ion shooter, I'm pretty sure that's not intentional. And even with that, I still don't think it's A tier, only because that's its real best use. Everything else about it is just kind of whatever. It is tanky for sure, but yet again, it kind of the same principle as the Battle Drone Mark II. It's gonna die in encounters more than just like 1v1s or maybe 1v2s at the most. If the enemy crew can deal with it, they're gonna deal with it. Like they can send crew to deal with it. Obviously, the stun is good, and obviously enemy AI is kind of dumb, but over time, assuming you don't just win the fight instantly anyway, the ion shooter isn't gonna like solo the enemy ship. I mean, unless the enemy ship cannot kill you, like they cannot harm you, and you use the ion shooter to like park inside like oxygen and just indefinitely stun it there, maybe. But otherwise, like, you know, you're not gonna like just win by having an ion shooter. You know, it doesn't really happen. But that's it for the crew drones. Out of the rest of these drones, that was basically like 30-ish% of my list so far, and that took like effectively 50 minutes, so not bad pace, I guess, but I guess before I move on, we can go through what kind of drones I've ranked so far. So for crew drones, in S tier we have Directors, Royal Atomizers, and Chaotic Yin Yang, as well as regular Yin Yang if you want to count it as the low S tier category. In A tier we have the regular Yin Yang, Divine Repair, Asshole, Ghana, or Yana, whatever the name is, who knows. I have to ask the guy himself from Into the Breach, but Royal Mender, Recon Drone, Roomba, Surgeon, and Chaotic Surgeon. Surgeon, like, you know, like someone who operates on you. B variants. The B tier we have Atomizer, the regular one, but Butler Drones, Doctor Drones, Chaotic Hollow Drones, Menders, Battle Drone Mark II, Loot Separatist, Battle Drone Mark I, Maintenance Drone, and Iron Shooter. And then in C tier we got regular Hollow Drone and the regular Mark II Battle Drone. So wrapping up the crew drones, I like the ones that can kill enemy crew and manage my ship. I think you can figure that out, but everything else that's utility or doesn't really do that job as well, I don't really care. But otherwise, like, yeah. There are some drones here that are really ridiculous in pairs. For example, if you have like multiple assholes, multiple Ghanas, multiple, I don't know, Menders maybe even, multiple Atomizers, if you can afford that. Like, yeah, we get some ridiculous stuff going on, but outside of that, who knows? Who cares? So, starting up with the combat, defense, or just in general the external drones, things you use to deploy to fight the enemy ship or defend your own ship, we start with the Amphrey drone. Amphrey drone is a drone that can toggle between two modes. It toggles between combat or defense. In combat mode, it's I think a little bit slower than a regular just laser drone is. And in defense mode, it's basically just worse than the regular defense drone. It cannot target laser projectiles. It only targets projectiles, so like missiles, flak shots, debris, stuff like that. It does do it at a faster rate of like what, 400 milliseconds or 300. So like for missiles and, you know, projectiles specifically, it does better, but it does not have a large array of like targeting. As a combat drone, it's okay. Like, it's not like amazing by any means, but I definitely am not gonna like say it's shit just because its other mode is bad. It's obviously fine. What else can I say about it? It's probably average at best. Like, I'm okay with using it, but I don't really like care so much about using it. Like, it's good. It's fair utility, but I don't know. Like, I don't see it being like very, very powerful. There's some drones here that solo enemy ships, and Amphrey is not one. So, Combat what's it? Oh damn, I forgot. It's not E-States, but it's the like Wentworth loot of the M3. It's a direct upgrade. In its combat mode, it has one less reactor power. It costs one less reactor power to use, and it gains, I think, 1 or 2 drone speed. In its defense mode, it's able to target. Well, it targets the same thing. Sorry. In defense mode, it targets the same projectiles, but it reloads 100 milliseconds sooner, from what I remember. And it might orbit your ship a bit faster. So obviously a direct upgrade. A 1 power combat drone obviously is quite efficient, but it's nothing I'm like super ecstatic for, as you probably know. I'm okay with using it. I've actually sometimes had like a good drop with it. Like right when I'm about to fight like Kira Supreme, like, you know, like the main attraction of the Wentworth innovations, and I pick up this drone, I use it to sometimes, you know, kill Kira because my main setup isn't really geared towards killing auto ships. This drone does open that. Not like, you know, not like in a very easy like you know, just instant game winning way, but obviously it's not bad. So Beam 1 is, I don't know, it's fair. It's very similar to regular Beam 1 from vanilla. In general, laser drones tend to be a bit better than beam drones, just like use of like killing an enemy ship. But beam drones do have good DPS against any kind of ship where it's constantly applying its damage, so, you know, shieldless obviously, but also against super shields. And that's kind of where it's kind of bumped up. Instead of just being average, all beam drones are above average, unless they're just like completely shit. But, you know, every beam drone has some value. They have good value because they're able to apply a lot of damage against super shields, like a lot of damage. You can basically kill Sylvan even if you have like a laser setup that doesn't guarantee hits because of his evasion. You can still win the fight and land your hacking / cloaking cycle if you have a beam drone, just because of how good it is at removing super shields. Beam 2 is just identical, really. It costs 1 more reactor power, but it moves so much faster. It doesn't obviously pierce any shield. It's the same amount of damage output, just moves faster, so it applies the damage more often when it actually hits the enemy ship or super shield. I'm not like insanely stacked to use it, but I'm not gonna say it's worse just because it's more power hungry. Like, you can use both drones just fine. Cascader is probably one of the best drones, maybe like S or A. I'll put A tier just because A tier is like, I don't know, you can, there's like, so before when we've had like really rare drones that you can only find like certain ships, there's only one ship in the entire game where you can find Cascader. Well, I guess technically 2, but let's just say 1 because we're not going to count the Sylvan Transport C. The only ship that Cascader comes on is Cell B. And Cell B, out of any ship in the game, it's like the one ship that really doesn't care about how good Cascader is. Like, it's so, the ship itself is broken and the drone itself is really good. So like, who would care? But I suppose if you want to go based off stats, it's 2 reactor power, 1 hull damage, 4 system damage, 100% breach chance, and it moves at the rate of like what, slightly slower than a regular Beam 2 drone. Like, I think like maybe 4 or so beam drone speed slower than a regular Beam 2. Downside, it can't pierce shields. That's it. But when you're in control of it, unlike Prime can't control it. He has it on a power surge tick. When you can control Cascader, like, you can basically like use it as like you knock down shields and then use Cascader. Like, yeah, that's pretty damn good. But you only find it on 1 ship in the game. Otherwise, yeah, cool drone. I don't mind it if I can, you know, find it. Funny enough. Carnage drone is like probably average, I'd say. It's 3 reactor power. It does shoot 1 heavy missile. It's 2 hull damage, 2 system damage. So it's not like bad in that department. It's only bad size that it's so slow. Like, it's a missile drone, sure, and obviously that like the damage is dishing out regardless. But I think I've seen myself better off using harbingers, manually taking down shields, and then just having harbingers kill the enemy, versus waiting for Carnage drone to like slowly chip away at the enemy. I mean, it's not like slowly, like it does damage. It's not like weak. It's just that I don't know, like, it's not always doing a super good job, if you get what I'm saying. The Royal Carnage is obviously upgrade though. It does one more additional system damage and then does fires. Nothing else. It doesn't move any faster. It doesn't attack faster. The missile, its projectile doesn't do any more hull damage. It only does one more system damage. But obviously it's still good. Like, it's direct upgrade, right? I don't mind using it if I can find it. You can't equip it. You literally can't find the Carnage, the Royal Carnage, but who knows? Maybe you open a console command and use it, but whatever. Up next, we got the conservative, not political conservative, but the non-power using beam drone is about B tier. It moves quite a bit slower than a regular beam drone, but it costs no reactor power and it does the same amount of damage. Well, like per swipe. Obviously, the beam 1 drone will do more swipes, so it does more damage overall, like over the course of a fight. But I'm fine with using conservative beam drones. Main reason being, again, it's a beam drone, and you could, funny enough, if you have literally nothing else to go against enemies who have like a good super shield, the conservative beam drone actually still does a good job. Funny enough, so. Up next, we got the auto ship loot of the conservative beam. It's basically a direct upgrade. I think it actually might have a slight downside, but it's honestly not even one that I'd consider a downside. I think it loses 2 drone speed, so it's a little more awkward, but it's already not super slow, so losing 2 speed is not that bad anyway. And now it can dodge anti-drone projectiles. I think it might have one more output. It might have slightly increased like status chance, but who knows. Very good drone. It's a direct upgrade while having its slight downside not mattering. So I'm fine with using it. Conservative laser is kind of the same ballpark as like other laser drones would be. Honestly, there's 1 or 2 laser drones could be rank a bit higher, but I'm fine with using conservative laser. It's one more projectile. Like in the runs where you're maybe not like necessarily dying or like always struggling. But in a run where you could use the conservative laser, it does a good job. You can use it to attack and kill ships, or help your volley attack and kill ships. It's one more projectile you otherwise wouldn't have, right? Did I say that right? Yeah, I did. It's a projectile you otherwise wouldn't have. So obviously it's okay. I don't mind using it, especially because the conservative beam can be the conservative laser, the conservative drones overall can be switched between the two. The same applies to regular beam drones. They can be switched from laser to beam, vice versa. Conservative laser can be switched between beam and regular laser. So as far as laser is concerned, it's not performing that much worse when it has support, obviously. The loot version of the laser is honestly, I know I ranked the conservative beam to be a bit better, but it's better in a way that it actually like helps the drone's performance. The laser variant, the conservative loot for this drone, its actual benefits don't really help it that much. Like sure, the anti-drone projectile dodging is okay, and the reduced speed is honestly really noticeable for lasers, because lasers are either hitting or they're not. Oh, sorry. Beams are either hitting or they're not. In terms of like either dealing hull damage or they're just hitting a random shield layer. Laser drones really need the effect of the fireball to be like landing. If you're gonna use it, obviously you want it to be dishing out damage, and the laser drone does not guarantee hits. So reducing its speed even further by any amount is just kind of like I'm not gonna say it's not a downgrade. Obviously, the anti-drone dodging is good, but the reduced speed is actually noticeable on the laser drone. For the beam drone, it doesn't really matter that much, but for lasers, it's a bit more noticeable. Defense drone Mach 1 is probably about B or A tier. Let's say like high B tier. I'm not gonna bother like ranking the shit, but it's high like B tier, like ranking in order, obviously. Like I'm not gonna say like defense drone is better than atomizer. They're equivalent, but defense drone is very, very nice. Defense drones are very nice. They target all projectiles besides drones, obviously. So that's lasers, flak, hacking, just random projectiles, I guess. I definitely don't mind using it. I've actually sometimes used a defense drone when I couldn't afford cloaking, or if maybe I was already running drone control and I, well, didn't have cloaking, or if maybe I needed some reason to not take a lot of hull damage right now. Maybe if I was on like a weak ship that couldn't afford to take hull damage. That's where Defense Drone 1 came in, and it was quite nice in that department. Definitely a good drone. It's common as well. It's not very rare to obtain. It's very good to go. It's very good to use. To go against, it's kind of bad because it's, well, a defense drone, but outside of that, it's definitely not bad. I should say though, I probably should have said this sooner. Unlike crew drones, because crew drones aren't exactly orbiting a ship, defense/combat drones / just orbital drones, they do care or / consider the fact of a shield's volume or space they're taking up. What I mean by that is, for example, if you're on a big, large ship, something with a very like fat just circumference or diameter, the defense drone is going to take a while to orbit the entire ship. The speed doesn't one-to-one scale with a ship's size. The larger your ship is, the longer it's going to be able to respond to like projectiles coming in. Obviously, if it's like missiles and such, it's still going to respond just fine. But if in terms of like maybe you want to defend against, you want to defend your super shield, or if you want to defend against a projectile that moves very fast, it is noticeable of like the orbit speed / the turn speed of defense drones, not just defense 1, but all defense drones. That it's what's a good phrasing for this? That it does struggle a little bit on huge ships. That's kind of why NG ships are very, not necessarily like small, but they're very cubical and very like just like the shield layer isn't very huge. So the drones have a very nice orbital path that can basically see everything without needing to like do like a 180 turn to target one projectile. They can always shoot at something, right? And a majority of player ships aren't huge by any means, but it is a thing to consider when you're using drones. That, okay, is my ship really as efficient in using this drone as it could be? And depending on your answer, it might be yes or no. Defense 2 is probably the same ballpark. It's a little bit better. One costs 1 more reactor power, but has nearly doubled the halved the reaction speed. It's not double reaction speed. It's halved the reaction speed, but double the efficiency. Same amount of targets with projectiles, but it's just shoots faster and shoots more often. Defense 4 is like really, really nice though. Even without its double power efficient variants, which by the way would rank like S tier, the regular Defense 4 is still very nice. Instead of being like yet another halving of efficiency, it's basically a quarter efficiency. It targets every 150 milliseconds, maybe even just 100 milliseconds, and it targets same amount of projectiles, but it's shooting so incredibly fast, like it's ridiculous. It's quite good, and obviously the power efficient does apply to these drones as well. This like, I can't remember the exact drones it applies to, but there's things like the Hellraisers or the defense drone, for example. The defense schematic or the drone schematic that costs 2 less reactor power for the defense 3 is pretty absurd. Okay, could you imagine a 2-power defense drone that targets all projectiles with a reaction speed of 100 or so milliseconds? Like, that's pretty damn absurd. Like, it's S tier in that department, but for a regular defense 3 that costs 4 reactor power, it's A tier. It's definitely very, very good, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a straight up upgrade. It's very good. It can protect against many different things, but it's not exactly getting every single thing done by itself. It's insanely good though for what it does. Entry loot of the defense is just a direct upgrade from the defense 1. I put it the same tier as a defense 3 as if it was completely independent. It's not really, but in terms of how much better it is compared to defense 1, it is basically A tier material. More or less, the defense 3 and defense 1 NG loot are 2 different items and they're independent of each other. Obviously you can use both, right? You can use them both at once, but in terms of different use, the energy loot defense one, the projectiles it uses to defend your ship travel like very fast, like a never miss kind of speed, and it has even less reload. Like I think like 100 less, 100 milliseconds sooner reload. So good, obviously, it's just a direct upgrade. Archangel is like probably A or B tier. Same logic as a Cascader. It comes on a single ship. Because the single ship comes on actually to B tier. Two things. Cell C does not need the support of a defense drone that shoots everything down. Drones plus projectiles. And the Cell C is a massive ship, and the Archangel sometimes doesn't do its job. Funny enough, it's good, but it's not like awestruck and like Jesus Christ, this is like the best drone I've ever seen. It's, you know, it's good, but it's not like I'm ecstatic to use it. It's just whatever, to be honest. It does, as I briefly mentioned, though, it does target everything. It targets drones and all drones and all projectiles, assuming they don't like have defense scramble, obviously. It shoots, instead of shooting like one individual shot or so for drones or projectiles, it shoots like a volley. So when the Archangel targets something, it's gonna shoot 8 shots for its 1 charge every 50 milliseconds. So if you think about that, it's kind of like a flak in the sense of how it's targeting, but it's precise in what it's actually targeting. So it shoots off multiple projectiles to, well, like shoot down things, but it's still precise in what it does. So it's good, obviously, but I'm not pissing my pants to use it. It's whatever. Especially considering it comes on a single ship in the entire game. Like literally one ship. You cannot get this on any other ship besides Cell C and Transport C. Up next, we got the Amp Energy. It's like C or E, C or B tier. It's probably ranked the same thing as like a regular ion drone, so I'll just put C tier. This is power level 1, Amp Energy level 1. 1 ion, 1 hull damage, fire chance, and it moves around at a speed of like what? I think like 10 or 12. I think 10 or maybe 11 even, but it's okay. Like it's average. It's whatever. The higher power variants of the energy are obviously like quite absurd, but the level 1 is like it's the most cheap to use reactor power wise, but it's not really like the actual most efficient for how much damage it does. Obviously, if the more ion stacks you have, the more things you have dealing ion damage, the better just ion damage in general is going to be. But for a single energy drone, level 1 is it's not doing a crazy amount of stuff. Energy 2, surprisingly, or the Amp Energy level 2 is a massive jump to A tier. 2 reasons. 1, it's able to stack its own ion charges. Its own ion damage stacks, and it's a perfect balance between the reactor power it costs plus its efficiency. What I mean by this is if you look at the Amp Energy progression, like when you use like the little drone toggle icon, you select the different modes. The level 2 variant has the best all-round stats. It keeps a good amount of movement speed, as well as costing an okay amount of reactor power, and its damage it dishes out is quite good. 2 ion, 2 energy is very good. Amp 3 is kind of middle of the road though. For energy, Amp Energy level 3 for enemies is like, oh my god, it's absurd. But for the player, it's just kind of whatever. It's kind of the same logic as like the Amp Flak in a way, but not quite, just because Amp Flak shoots many projectiles. This just shoots 1. 3 ion, 3 hull is obviously not weak, but it's not exactly like absurd either. As I said before though, it now costs 4 reactor power to use, and now its efficiency is kind of degrading because it's quite slow. It's like 6 or 5 movements, maybe even less, to be honest. It's not fast. You can use it in a way to like toggle the combat drone. What do I mean by that? Wait, let me rephrase that. You may not know this, but there's a way you can basically target or manually aim a drone. when a combat drone is not orbiting a ship, when it's going into place, like moving across the enemy ship to like ready to shoot, if you depower it, not quickly, but depower it before it reaches its destination, you can have it on standby for when you want it to shoot directly, so that it lines up with the rest of your like weapons, like your aimable offense, for example. So let's say if the fight begins and I want to use my amp energy, my amp level 3 energy, and I needed to what'd you call it? Not level out, but I need to work in conjunction with my other weaponry. What I'm gonna do is that I'm gonna have it park right outside the enemy, right when it's ready to fire. But I'm not gonna fire it or power it. I'm gonna wait until my volley is ready, and then I'll use the amp energy. If you kind of understand what I'm getting at there. So ion drones specifically, maybe even flak, you could argue, they're really good at like toggling back and forth, so that you can kind of wait for it to apply its damage, so that it lines up well with the rest of your volley. But having it just aimlessly wander around is kind of like not amazing. It's pretty good, but not like game breaking if you have it aimlessly wander around. If you have it like targetable, it's quite good. For Shard, which is a starting beam drone on the Slug C, I forgot, the Kleptocracy C. It's a 2-power beam drone. It's basically a pest drone that gains ability to deal system damage and I think a bit higher breach. I mean, no, sorry, lower breach, but it gains system damage. That's right. It can get crew kills on its own, obviously, same way the pest could, except it gets it much easier. The constant application of system damage is very nice, and it does work. It does function the same as like a beam drone, so it can be used to degrade super shields. It can't exactly hull kill, like at all, but it does do a lot of system damage when shields are down. It's not bad. Up next, we got the Amp Flak, level 1, which is about like C tierish. It's not like slow in this mode, but it only shoots a single flak projectile. And considering a single flak projectile is no real different than just like a laser projectile in this one amp mode, it's just okay. Like it's obviously a downgrade in a way, but its upgrade progression for the other amp flaks is very nice. For Amp Flak 1 specifically, though, it's just whatever. Amp Flak level 2 is like really nice though. 3 power, 2 flak projectiles, but loses a little bit of speed. It's the same concept as like other amp drones, like Ion and Energy. Same thing. You can basically toggle it. You can toggle its power to have it ready to shoot, like park it, and then shoot it when you want it to shoot. Like have it line up with your setup. That's quite good, obviously, and its shot radius that it shoots is actually kind of. It's not like small, but it's not really huge either. So it is, for what it does, it's definitely not bad. Especially when you're able to like manually target it and whatever. It's quite good. Amflak 3 is the same thing though. Low speed, high power to use for reactor power, but shooting 3 projectiles at once using a drone is very nice. 4 power for 3 shots might seem a little shit, but considering it's constantly firing and you're able to target it like as if it's a weapon, it's definitely not bad. Like I'm not complaining to use it. Up next we got the augmented loot of Amflax. Amflak 1 is the augmented loot. What it does is that it gives the Amflax 1 additional projectile, but it moves slightly slower as a result. I think like 1 less drone speed, or maybe 2 less, but it moves a bit slower. It's basically just a direct upgrade. It's basically an Amflak 2. Well, it is an Amflak 2, but it's slightly slower. 2 projectiles for 2 power is quite good, obviously, so it's not bad. It's definitely pretty nice. Plus, I sell it often, or funny enough, I actually hull kill the transport that the augmented loot Amflak comes on. But that's more just because of like a grudge / I need the scrap more than I need the Amflak. This is probably not. This is a little off topic, but funny enough, it's a weird interaction. But for some reason, the augmented transport, along with maybe like 1 or 2 other transports in the game, those transports specifically, if you have Scrap Arm, have a better payout when you hull kill the ship versus when you crew kill the ship and then gain its loot, like the amp flag, for example. Because the selling price of the amp flag is like 25, but the Scrap Arm blue option that you can use after you hull kill or transport is greater than 25, right? So if you think of like scrap overall scrap value, you gain more from hull killing than you do crew killing. But obviously that doesn't really apply to the actual use of an amp flag. The use of an amp flag is good, so that's all there is to it. Amp flag 2 is probably another like A tier. It's just another upgrade. It's basically 3 power, 3 projectiles, moves a bit slower. You can obviously manually target it and have a good amount of projectiles. And then lastly, Amp Flag 3, I'll just say is the same mode. They're all really identical. I would say the Amp Flag 3 augmented loot is probably the best off compared to everything else. But I'm not gonna put it all the way in S tier just because it's like 1 more projectile for what it's worth. It's not making or breaking anything. Like, let's be real here. But with that out the way, it's good. Like, let's be real here, it's definitely good. Circling back to defense drones, though, we have the Guardian drone. Guardian drones are interesting because they aren't quite regular defense drones. They cannot target laser projectiles ever, but they can be switched to either target missiles / physical projectiles very well, or they can be toggled to be able to target drones very well using the anti-drone variant of it. Guardian 1 is okay. It's just like a slightly like if you can use it as an anti-drone, and in that case it's good. But everywhere else is just kind of like whatever. Like the anti-missile aspect of it is just like it's not bad. Obviously, it's fine, but it's not something like you're ecstatic to use, right? It's just it's good. It's not average. It's above average for sure, but because of the 2 modes it can toggle back and forth. But otherwise, it's just kind of whatever. Let's be real here. Up next, we got the Guardian anti-drone, which is probably like same-ish tier. I was gonna put it higher, but that's the Guardian 2. Just targets drones, ions them. It doesn't destroy them, but ions them, and ionizing them might be enough to keep them down anyway. Especially if it's like a drone that could cause problems. It's quite good. I don't mind it. Guardian 2 is more or less a direct upgrade. It's definitely shooting much faster for what it's worth of 3 reactor power. And it does shoot missiles down and hacking drones surprisingly very efficiently. Everything else is just kind of whatever. Like flak debris and flak projectiles, it kind of sucks because flak weapons have a attribute that it shoots off a bunch of fake flak projectiles. So if you look at the way the flak fires, it's got 3 projectiles that actually do hull and system damage, but there's other parts of the flak weaponry that don't do hull damage but will distract defense drones, so that it's potentially it's very real that a defense drone will be confused by a flak projectile and will end up targeting the fake flak projectiles versus targeting the real flak projectiles. It's not like very common, obviously. It's not enough to like say it's useless against flak. Like obviously, even if you're able to take down 1 real flak projectile that's actually damaging you, it's obviously good enough. But it's a thing to consider for flaks, to go against flaks. Guardian 2 is like probably low S tier in all honesty. It's one of the most efficient defense drones in the game besides something like Trinity or whatever. It targets drones, combat drones, very, very fast. It's basically more than it's almost more than double the speed of a regular Guardian drone, considering its base reload is faster, but the ion projectile is shooting much more often. So its actual rate of taking down drones is faster because combat drones need to park themselves from around your shield bubble to start attacking. The Guardian 2 drone is able to shoot down multiple drones before they're even able to park, while the Guardian 1 is only able to maybe shoot down 1 or 2 at the most. The Guardian 3 the Guardian 2 can anti-drone can almost take down the entire power surge of the flagship by itself. Like I don't know about you, but that seems quite good for what it's worth. Harbinger 1 is quite an absurdly powerful drone though. It's obviously the obelisk equivalent of a laser drone, except 2 hull damage, 3 system damage, and if it hits an empty room, it does 4 hull damage. The drone has hull bust, and it has 100% breach chance. It moves, I think, like 1 or 2 drone speeds slower than a regular laser drone, but otherwise, it's very common to find. It's not hard at all, and it's very, very efficient. Like, my god, it does so much damage for shots, and it honestly, it moves quite quickly too. Like, it's not like shooting a shot every second, but it's very, very nice, considering it's literally like a 2 damage shot, breaching, 3 system damage, or if you want to, you hull rush an enemy and just deal 4 hull damage. Like, it's absurd. It's so good. Plus, it's common to find. Harbinger 2 is rarer, but so much more DPS. It's absurd to find. For true ending, I often use it in pairing with either payloads or some kind of setup where I'm able to take down shields very quickly. So, for example, maybe like augmented boarding, and I just annihilate shields and have the Harbinger 2 like have like a field day just annihilating like Vance or the Royal Dreadnought, because it's drone speed of 25, so the same speed as a laser 2, regular laser 2 drone, but same amount of damage as a Harbinger 1, like per shot, but it has like nearly triple the speed, while only costing 2 more reactor power. Like, it's so absurd. Like, that damage output is just not like it ain't to joke about. It's quite ridiculous. It's actually so ridiculous that even fighting the enemy with a Harbinger 2 is actually a little scary sometimes. Not in the sense of like, oh, you can't defeat them, but more in the sense of, hey, maybe if the enemy gets a good volley off, the Harbinger 2 can do quite a lot of damage if you're not careful. Royal Harbinger is like literally like comical. So let's begin with saying that it's 3 reactor power, so it costs 1 less than a regular Harbinger 2. It moves at the same speed, except its base shot does 4 hull damage, 5 system damage, and has hull busting capabilities to deal 8 hull damage at once, as well as moving at the same speed of 25 as a regular Harbinger 2. And it does fires and stuns. Regular Harbinger drones also do stuns, but they breaching and stunning isn't as good as like fire and stunning, right? But regardless, Royal Harbinger is like, wow, it is very, very lethal for what it does. Obviously, by itself, like without any support, it's not like doing like an insane amount, but when it's able to hit enemies directly, like its hull or systems, it is so unbelievably ridiculous that it actually makes the Royal Dreadnought scary. It makes Royals scary to fight because of that Royal Harbinger. That's how ridiculous it can get. It is basically on par with the Director drone, if not just better, because it's literally like annihilating ships. Above all else, it's also 3 reactor power to use. 3 reactor power for a drone that does 8 hull damage or 5 system damage, plus fires, plus stuns, and it moves at the speed of like 25, which is like basically a shot every, like, on average 2 seconds, maybe a bit sooner. Like, wow, dude, just wow. Up next, returning back to Sanity. I just realized I don't have a I don't have a Royal Sentinel. Oh well, weird. But Hellraiser, the fire variant, is kind of like just average. It's just barely okay. The fire chance is good, and it's not necessarily like slow or really like it does apply the fires pretty often, but it costs 3 reactor power to do so. Like, it's just, I don't know about you, but it doesn't seem good. Also, funny enough, I wrote down fire and hull on the sprite file itself, because although there's obviously a distinction between the two, like one of them has the base lit up, while the other one has the I guess the beam's barrel lit up. It's kind of hard to tell the difference between the two sometimes, because, well, obviously you know the amount of attention to detail you need to figure out which is which all the time is kind of bad, but well, not bad, but it's not easy to have that like insane attention to detail, right? But anyways, the fire drone is just kind of whatever. Like, it's the amount of fires it does is obviously good, but it's not like game changing by any means. The Hellraiser, but the hull variant is obviously good. It's on par with the beam variant, the beams. It costs 1 more reactive power and moves a bit slower, but it's able to deal 2 hull damage with the hull buster as well as breaches, which is quite good. Obviously, the damage output is higher against actual hull. Against super shields, it's a bit lower, but against hull, it's much better. Up next, we got the hull repair drone, which is probably about A or S tier. It's a really nice drone in vanilla, and in Multiverse, I would say it's about the same. It's got a lot of good applications. I think the 2 main ones is the synergy it has with drone recovery arm and the selling price. If you don't want to use a hull repair, that's okay. It sells for like 47 scrap, or maybe a bit less, maybe like 42 scrap instead. And the synergy with drone recovery arm is that drone recovery arm works in the sense that it recovers combat/defense drones that you use in battle that aren't destroyed. The hull repair drone is technically considered a defense drone, like game coding wise. So how a hull repair drone works is that when you deploy it using 1 drone pod, it can dish out up to 3 to 5 hull repair. So if you think about it, the drone arm does apply to the hull repair if you're able to jump away before it destroys itself, because the hull repair, after it repairs through the 5 hull, like 3, 4, or 5 hull, it'll vanish away. However, if you're able to use the drone recovery arm as well as the hull repair, and do something like 1 hull repair, 2 hull repair, right? Like have it cycle through your ship 2 times, and then jump away with a drone recovery arm, you won't spend the drone pot, and you'll get 2 hull repair for free. So over the course of many jumps, it's quite good. And even if you don't have that drone arm, not really exploit, but that drone arm synergy, you can have it still like 1 drone pot for 3 to 5 hull. And on average, it does about like 3.5 hull because of the way it disappears after. But one drone pod for 3 to 5 hull is definitely not bad, even without the synergy of drone arm. But regardless, it's good. It's really good. Like when you're in the battle, it might not be like life-saving. I mean, obviously it could be. It's hull repair, but for utility outside of just keeping a ship up to like standard, making sure it's like it's got a good amount of life left. You know, you're not gonna die next jump. Hull repair is definitely good. As I mentioned much earlier though, with the energy drones, ion drones are pretty similar. Instead of shooting an ion energy projectile, they only shoot a regular ion, but they are a little bit faster as a trade-off. Instead of being able to do hull damage, they move faster as a drone. The level 1, the amp ion 1, shoots 1 ion projectile and moves at the speed of like I think 3 or so less speed than the regular laser drone. It's not bad, but again, it's just like average. It's whatever. What you call it? Why am I mind blanking this? Okay, the Ion 2 is probably about B tier. Not similarly before, but in contrast to before, the energy progression kind of follows a weird like triangle shape here, where like the level 1 variant is the worst, the level 2 variant is the best, and the level 3 variant is just kind of like the middle of the road. The Ion's trajectory kind of follows the same suit. All 3 variants are okay, but you're going to notice a lot more value the more power you put into it. And in this case, it's actually a lot because of the amount of ion damage that the level 3 does for its power value. But in terms of power of level 2, it's 2 ion damage, 3 reactive power, and it moves at the speed of like maybe 8 or 7. So not incredibly slow, but not really like fast by any means either. Not bad, just not something I'm gonna be like ecstatic to use. Ion 3 is quite powerful though. The power level 3, the amp 3 of the ion. 3 ion damage, 4 drone speed, and 4 reactor power. It's better than the energy, not in the sense of like the hull damage. Obviously, the big fat 3 hull damage can be quite good, but I think for the ion specifically, it's being able to stack on itself, being able to manually target it for a drone that now actually cares about like synergizing well with other weapons is quite good. The energy 3, the amp energy 3 can get in the way sometimes, while the amp ion doesn't really, like, at all. The ion damage is just ion damage. Like, sure, it's not able to like single-handedly kill a ship by stacking itself because it can't, it doesn't do hull damage. But outside of that, it's still like good. It's not bad at all. I'm definitely fine with using it. Up next, we got the laser one, which is just kind of just a it's just a laser drone. I would put it A tier, but honestly, the laser 2 is more comfortable in A tier. Laser drones are very, very similar to as they were in vanilla. Just 2 reactor power, shoots a laser projectile, small chance for fires, and just onward from there. Not bad, definitely okay to use. It helps setups the same way a conservative laser might. Up next, we got the laser 2, which is a direct upgrade. Costs 1 more reactor power, but moves like nearly double the speed. So it is able to stack shots in itself, and its synergy overall. Like, the amount of DPS it gains by only 1 more reactor cost is quite good. So no complaints there. NG loot laser is very, very nice. It gains more speed, like way more speed. I think it gains like 3 speed, and its actual shot that's right. It gains speed, and it evades anti-drone shots. So it's basically, it doesn't need any kind of support on its own, besides like obviously your own weapon system. But the drone itself doesn't need any real upgrades. It's just good. The more speed, evades anti-drone. It's still a laser drone. Has no debuffs, so it's quite good. Definitely a direct upgrade from the regular laser drone. Laser drone's still good, obviously. Just the NG loot is, well, noticeably good. Up next, we got the miner drone, which is a renegade drop. Probably like C or B. Probably just like whatever, B tier. I don't know. Who cares? It's basically like a pike beam as a drone. It pierces no shields, but it has like something like 120 beam length and a very fast beam speed. It also has high breach chance. It's just like it's literally just a pike as a beam drone. It's a bit slow, but honestly not by like a huge amount. Like, it's still relatively fast. Like, at least in terms of beam drones, it's still fine to use. I'm not gonna complain too much. It's definitely not bad, especially if you can have it like actually hit a ship's hull. It cuts across the entire thing, and that's quite funny to see. It's not like satisfying to see it cut across the entire ship, but it's cool to see a bunch of just ones stacking on themselves, right, as the beam drone swipes. Unfortunately, the chaotic miner is just kind of whatever. It gains total shield piercing, but as a result, has a bit less drone speed and costs 5 reactor power to use. So yeah, like, in itself, it's able to take down any ship because of that full shield piercing. But at the same time, like, I don't really care that much about the full shield pierce, especially if there's so many different ways to assemble a volley that can have a regular miner drone do its same damage. The DPS and the efficiency of the chaotic miner drone hasn't increased just because it's now piercing all shields, let alone costing 5 reactor power. So it's just average. It's whatever. Like, its damage wise is like A tier, but its actual utility use is like, dude, like, come on now. 5 reactor power for a drone that's just slightly more funny to use is just whatever. How about, like, just because I know some people will say, like, well, it's a beam drone that pierces everything. That's obviously good. Well, like, yeah, but let's say it's low B tier, okay? That's just, like, I think, in my opinion, it's worse, but I know some people will think it's fine to use still. Like, I know objectively it's okay to use. Like, 5 reactor power for a drone that pierces all shields. I'm not saying that's the bad part of it. I'm saying the bad part of it is that you have to, like, you have to justify saying that the chaotic variant is an upgrade, and I don't think it really is an upgrade. It's like saying the chaotic strawberry launcher is better off than the regular strawberry launcher. Well, yeah, of course. Like, if you can say a Gatling laser is better than a regular, like, Vulcan, well, of course it is. But in terms of like, actual best use, doesn't matter what you use to win the game. No, it doesn't. So, like, I don't know. I don't see this being like extraordinarily better just because it's funny to use now. Like, let's be real here. Army drone is definitely a really nice drone, though. Its actual use is quite shit, to be honest. It's not like absolutely horrible, but it's not good either. It fits nice in the shit category. It's low B, but it's low B. It's like high B, low A. But you might be thinking, why? If I called it shit, why is it an A tier? Well, 60 scrap selling price is why. And if you don't want to sell it, it's still useful against anti-drone in general. Targeting anything besides drones is kind of just not good, but it's just whatever. But otherwise, yeah, it's either a 60 scrap selling price or it counters a lot of different drones. Sometimes its targeting can be kind of weird because if it's like flak-like shooting with light lasers, and its reload is, it's not slow, but it's not really fast either. It's good. It's definitely not like horrible in its utility use, but it's really only good in two respects: its selling price and its anti-drone capabilities. Everything else is just kind of whatever. I guess in one weird way, it counters Carnage pretty well, like the Carnage weapon, but and maybe I guess flak in a way too. But besides that, I don't know. Like, it's definitely not bad. Like, overall, the grand scheme of the game, the Army drone isn't bad. Just trying to use it is just, I don't know. I don't like to use it, if you get what I'm saying. It's cool. It's really cool to get. It's a 60 scrap what do you call it? Like a present for you from Kira, the courtesy of Kira. But otherwise, it's just kind of whatever. 60 scrap is cool though. Overcharger is like D or C tier. It's just probably D tier. It's, I don't know, like, Overcharger is definitely upgraded from when it was in vanilla. Overcharger coding is quite weird to describe, but in general what it does is, if there's no stronger super shield available, it'll charge it'll charge a Jolton shield up to level 5 hit points. And the fewer hit points of a super shield you have, the faster the super shield will the overcharger will charge. For I can't remember the exact number, but let's just say for like as an example, if you just deploy the overcharger drone, excuse me, but if you just immediately deploy it and you don't have any super shield hit points, it'll charge its first like hit point pretty quickly. Its second one will charge slower, sorry. It'll charge slower and then slower because of the more hit points that exist. And even at its best efficiency with like having multiple shield drones, it's just like I don't really like using it. It isn't good. It's just like I can see it working well against setups that don't have a lot of fast firing weapons. Like for example, if you're fighting an enemy with like two massive guns, like something like one big missile and one big laser weapon, obviously the super shield drone, the overcharger, can gain some value there. So I could put it average, but even then, like in most cases when enemies are able to dish out damage faster, or at least more consistent than the shield drone is able to, well, give you a shield, it's just it gets outperformed too quickly. Early game, when it's all you have, like maybe on some ships that use it, is obviously okay, but otherwise I'm not gonna like say it's amazing because you get a super shield from it. Well, really, think about it, the super shield goes away like with a snap of your fingers. I don't know if my mic caught that, but like a snap of your fingers, the super shield goes away so quick. It's not even funny. Sentinel is just kind of like the same thing as a regular Defense 3. It's same reactor power, shoots the same amount of projectiles like lasers and missiles and such, but it has a 50 seconds shorter reload. Not an insane upgrade, obviously, because it's just a defense drone, but it's obviously good. Like, if for some reason you're using a Defense 3 inside the Ancient Sector and you come across a Sentinel, well, the Sentinel is just better. So I think the Sentinel might have a slightly faster turn speed as well. Like when the barrel of the actual defense drone is like spinning around to like like target, like to aim, the Sentinel's barrel is able to spin around a bit faster. I'm pretty sure, not by like an insane amount, but like you know, sometimes noticeable. If there's like a lot of different projectiles coming in, then sometimes it's able to do it on its own. It depends on the situation, obviously, but Sentinel is definitely not. It's not worse than the regular Defense 3. So A tier is comfortable in my opinion. Particle is just kind of like average. It's 2 power for a big projectile shot. Its projectile shot has a really very high fire chance, and it does 2 system damage. It's not really it's not a slow drone either. It is sort of fast, but it's okay. Like it's fine to use. It's kind of the same way. The particle drone can crew kill the same way that you'd crew kill using something like the debuff drone, where like it needs support like easily, but its actual application for like disabling ship is actually pretty okay. I would put it B tier, but overall I either find more value selling it for 32 scrap, or using just the Pierce laser, which is pretty good as well. The Rad drone is like one of my favorite drones in the game, for 2 reasons. One, it is able to crew kill relatively well on its own, and 2, it's the most efficient drone at taking down super shields as we have it now. 1 reactor power, 25 movement speed, and its beam swipe does damage against super shields as well as cannot be missed. So it's basically the single best drone for shield removal in base multiverse. Assuming obviously you don't have something like crazy like a Harbinger 2 or an Ion drone that is able to land every single shot. In most cases, those setups are hard to obtain. So for example, if you want to take it down a super shield as quickly as possible, Ion drones might be okay or slightly better off, but they need upgrades. They need evasion to be gone. They need like multiple instances of ion damage, while the pest drone just needs itself. That's it. It can take down any amount of super shield just on its own. So that's quite good, obviously. Plus the crew kill potential is okay as well. Debuff drone is like definitely not bad, but I think it's probably one of the best crew killing drones that you could use. Excuse me. No status effects besides stunning, and no system damage. However, it shoots like a lot of projectiles in a flak like trail, and each projectile does like 15 crew damage and I think like a either 12 or 13 second stun, which is quite good, obviously. It's definitely not bad to use for crew killing. I think sometimes I've used the pest drone to crew kill instead, just because of the status effect sometimes mattering a bit more. But the debuff drone is still good. Like, don't get me wrong. 1 reactor power for shooting up all those projectiles that stun and deal crew damage. It's good. Well, obviously, yeah, you need some support for it for when you know it can't. The drone itself cannot pierce shields at all. Like its individual shots cannot pierce shields. But otherwise, its actual use for crew killing is definitely good. And funny enough, when the enemy uses it, assuming the enemy isn't actually like able to kill you with it, like using like just bypassing your super shield or whatever, it actually gives you very good amount of evasion training like pretty quickly, because the projectiles from the debuff drone count as a projectile to be dodged. So it's either gonna hit your shield harmlessly, or it's gonna miss and count towards evasion. And considering the drone like travels quickly and shoots many projectiles, it can train your evasion really quickly. So it's quite funny to see when like an enemy helps you out with evasion. It's funny, but moving on from that, we have the Pierce drone, the alternative to the regular particle. It's just like a slightly better laser drone. I wouldn't say insanely better, because the 1 Pierce doesn't make or break the drone into A tier at least. It's a bit slower, and the breach chance is sometimes not that much better than something like a fire would be from like a laser drone. It's still efficient, but not something I'm like ecstatic to use. Good, obviously, but not like not game changing. Pinpoints, or the last of the amp that we have here, the last of the amp drones we have is the pinpoint. Probably about the same as a beam drone, maybe a little bit more efficient. It was buffed kind of recently, well, at least the last multiverse change, it was buffed. Maybe a bit higher than a beam drone, but let's say the same tier as a beam drone, but its actual execution of like in game is better. So it's 2 power. It's level 1. It's level 1 equivalent. It's 2 power, 2 hull damage, 2 system damage. A little bit slower than a regular beam drone, but obviously it's able to pierce a shield layer now, thanks to its pinpoint accuracy. It has okay breach chance, and as I said before, it's a bit slower, but honestly not by much. It's definitely good. I don't mind using it. The amp pinpoint level 2 is really nice though. Same principle as like the energy and ion kind of followed. The level 2 tends to be the most efficient variant all around, mostly because its damage potential / efficiency equals out very well with the amount of reactive power / drone speed it has. So it's obviously slower than the amp 1 pinpoint, and it costs more reactive power. However, it does 3 hull damage and 3 system damage, which is a pretty big punch if the enemy is, well, damaged by it. Plus, it's not that much slower. I think it's only like 3 less drone speed. Considering it does additional hull and system damage with more breach chance, and it's able to pierce 2 shields on its own now, that's definitely not bad, I don't think. It's basically like a misericord in a drone. The misericord is the pinpoint beam that 2 power, 3 hull, 3 system damage. And then last we have the amp pinpoint. I wouldn't say it's an insane upgrade, but it's definitely like right around the same level. It's actually, funny enough, got the same efficiency as an amp pinpoint 2. The speed and the damage efficiency completely balance each other out. 4 hull, 4 system damage is obviously absurd, but 4 reactor power as well as moving at like 4 or 5 drone speed is definitely, honestly, okay balance. It hits heavy, but it's not hitting heavy insanely often. Beam drone, obviously, it's not really missing. It's obviously not missing, but for what it's actually able to do often, it's not bad. I'd even consider it S tier if it wasn't just like overall like really subjective to what your setup is geared towards. If it fits in well, it's gonna fit in very well, like as a supplement. But if you're not really geared towards that constant like the suppression of like shield layers, so that pinpoint is able to do its best amount of damage, it's not like something that's gonna make or break the drone, right? So on its own, it's not quite S tier, but it's definitely a very, very nice bunch of drones. I like them pinpoint drones a lot, even if I don't use them very often, because, well, you know, I don't get them very often. I can't exactly afford to buy them every time I see them, right? So next / the last of the well, theoretically the last of the ancient drones, we have the plasma. Kind of like be a C tier. I'll put like low B, high C tier. Actually, no, just put B, just general B tier. 1 ion damage, 1 system damage, and it's same thing as the plasma. It's able to deal system damage to shields outside of the shield bubble. So assuming that the crew isn't able to repair / like work on shields faster than the plasma drone is able to keep shooting off its shot to damage shields, it is able to take down shield layers all by itself. But it's a projectile that can be dodged as well as resisted, or just like more the enemy's able to repair sooner than the plasma drone is able to suppress systems and such. It's definitely good. Like I guess if you're using ion drones for whatever reason, you end up with a plasma. I guess plasma is a good upgrade, but I wouldn't like be stacked to use it, right? Royal plasma is literally a direct upgrade though. Same speed, same reactive power, except it does 2 ion damage, 2 system damage. So it's basically like the same thing as a regular regular plasma launcher or cannon, whatever you want to call it. So it's obviously good. Can't obtain it, but it's, well, if you happen to use it, it's good. Up next, we have the randomizer drone. I can't remember what it's called. It's like something amazing, like wonder worker something drone. I don't know, but like from what I understand, it's just a drone that can be equipped for different means. It can be equipped to be a missile drone, but I don't remember its missile stats. So as long as the missile drone itself isn't like absurd to use, it's probably just B tier, same tier as like a laser or a beam drone, or even an ion drone would be. It's just whatever. Like it's an event drone, so it's It's rare to find, but at the same time it's scripted, so if you find it, you do get it, pretty much, if you want to use it. But overall, I don't think it's that bad. I think it's a little inefficient, considering it's got the different modes for its actual efficiency. It's just kind of whatever. It's basically like it's like an amp-free drone. Amp-free drone as like an actual like randomizer drone, pretty much. You just change between modes and such. Up next, we got the Trinity drone, the NGC Renegade drop. Probably one of the most efficient anti-drones in the game, like close to S tier, but actually wait, let's think here. I think the regular Trinity is A tier. The Chaotic Trinity will be S tier, but the regular Trinity is A tier. The Trinity has 3 modes, and it targets at the same speed as like a Defense 2 laser. So here in B tier, it can target either drones, anti-missiles, or lasers. And in an anti-missile mode, it's able to target missiles plus projectiles like debris, flaks, hacking drones, such like that. While its laser drone is very good at targeting lasers, and its drone, anti-drone is well good at targeting drones. Its best application is obviously against missiles or drones, and its ability to toggle in fight to target whatever you want is quite good. I think the downside being the restriction into one mode throughout a fight is not bad, but if you do want to toggle it back and forth, you're gonna have to deploy it multiple times, and it's not bad. It's not like making it worse, but it is noticeable on the runs where you care about your drone pods. And if somehow Trinity needs to be like reserved for like bad fights, or if for some reason maybe you aren't able to use it every single fight because you haven't scaled past care yet, the Trinity isn't like insanely efficient in that regard. But if it's able to apply its best use in one mode, being like drone or anti-missile, it's definitely good. Like, don't get me wrong, it's definitely good at at one single purpose. The Trinity is very good. The Chaotic Trinity is just straight up better though, like in all aspect. No downsides, and it has all 3 modes at once. So it's basically like an Archangel, but now like a Renegade drop. Its turn speed is very good. Its orbit speed is quite good as well. Same thing as Trinity, but you know, obviously when you're targeting everything, the drone speed, its orbital speed is obviously better because it's able to react faster. Its turn speed as well, also quite nice. Very good. I like it a lot. And then second to last, because I'm going to be talking about a mystery character drone that I forgot to make a sprite file for, is the uplifted drone. Probably just slightly better, maybe a little bit higher than a regular beam drone. A bit higher than a beam drone because objectively it's a bit better. It's a regular beam drone, except it has a cloaking that lets it dodge anti-drone projectiles. I think it gains breach chance, surprisingly enough, and it shoots at roughly the same speed as a Beam 2 drone. It's pretty good. I definitely don't mind using it, especially if I can use it as like a beam drone. If I'm already running like a beam drone, like that I'm using towards hull killing, I definitely don't mind using uplifted. It's not bad. It's pretty good. And then well, there's no other items to rank here, but just to give my thoughts on another drone I forgot to put in here is the Royal Sentinel, the Royal variant of Obelisk defense drone. It's 5 power for 1 more reactor power. Guess what it gets? It gets 50 seconds less of a reload speed, and that's it. So for a grand total of 5 reactor power, you are shooting slightly faster without any more accuracy. It is probably one of the most inefficient Obelisk drones. Not quite like the worst drone, but it's definitely not the most efficient. And that's it for the list, I think, unless I'm missing some goofy shit. But quickly run down what we have in the list itself. We have S tier, Royal Harbinger, Director, Royal Atomizer, Chaotic Yin Yang, Harbinger 1, Harbinger 2, Pest Drone, and Chaotic Trinity. In A tier we have the Yin Yang, Guardian 2, Divine Repair, Asshole, Ghana, Royal Mender, Recon Drone, Roomba, Surgeon, Chaotic Surgeon, Cascader, I'm pretty sure it's Cascader, yeah, that's right. Conservative Beam, Defense 3, NG Defense 1, the NG Loot Defense 1, Amp Energy 2, Fushad Beam, the crew killing beam. That's, well, really good at crew killing in a way. Amp Flak 2, Amp Flak 3, Augmented Loot Flak, Amp Flak 1, Augmented Loot Amp Flak 2, and Augmented Flak Amp Flak 3. Guardian 2, the missile variants. Wait, yeah, the missile variants. Did I rank that right? Let's see. Yep, I ranked it right. Okay, just making sure I was like reading it right. Guardian 2, Hull Repair, Amp Ion 3, Laser 2, Laser Drone 2, NG Loot Laser 1, Omni Drone, Sentinel, Amp Pinpoint 2, Amp Pinpoint 3, Royal Plasma, Trinity, and Uplifted Drone. B tier we have the Atomizer, Butler Drone, Doctor, Chaotic Hollow Drone, Mender, Battle Drone Mark 2, Separatist Loot Battle Drone Mark 1, Maintenance Drone, Iron Intruder, Wentworth Innovations Amp 3 Drone, Beam 1, Beam 2, Royal Carnage, Royal Beam, not Royal Beam, Conservative Beam, Conservative Laser, Conservative Auto Ship Loot Laser, Defense 1, Defense 2, Archangel, the Amp Energy 3, Guardian Anti-Drone, Guardian Anti-Missile, and where was I? Oh, there we go. The Hellraiser Hull variant, that one that deals hull damage. Amp Energy, Amp Ion 2, Laser Drone 1, Miner, Chaotic Miner, Debuff Drone, Pierce Drone, Amp Pinpoint 1, Plasma, and then the Randomizer Drone. I'm just going to call it Definelon. And then C tier, we got the Hollow Drone, the Battle Drone Mark 1, Amp 3, Carnage, Amp Energy Mark 1, Amp Flak Mark 1, Hellraiser, the Fire variant, Amp Ion 1, and then Particle. And then D tier, we have the Overcharger. You know, I was looking through this list, and I was like, what the hell is the anti-drone? It's up here, but for some reason I thought it was down here. I don't know if I said this earlier, but the anti-drone Guardian drone is in A tier, like high A tier, low S tier. But anyways, that's the list. Running through it, I could probably see a few changes, maybe a few down placements, maybe a few up placements. But in general, if you look through my runs, there's a lot of like consistency in the drones I use, like between the directed drone, pest drone, Trinity if I happen to find it. Asshole and Ghana are pretty fun to use on occasion. The Roomba is like just memes, which unironically enough, it actually is pretty good despite being a meme. Battle drones are occasionally fun to use, and what else is there? I guess the Hellraiser drone, the Hellraisers, they're not bad per se, but I don't really like using them that much. I feel like the Hellraisers could probably use a bit of a buff, like, to be honest. Not in the sense of like making them actually like really good, but just more in the sense of like, I don't know. I feel like they're a bit undertuned to what they usually do. The Hull variant of the Hellraiser is probably fine. It could maybe use a little bit more drone speed, but that's about it. While the Hellraiser of the Fire variant desperately needs some help. A 3-power drone that applies a bunch of fires just isn't like as efficient as you think it'd be. Like, it's not bad. The crew killing potential for fires specifically isn't bad. It's just when it all comes down to like how efficient is it, it just isn't getting that many more crew kills than something else like that's 2 power, 1 power, 0 power, right? Some crazy shit like that. But overall, it's not bad. It's just, I don't know, it's okay. I'm probably like maybe a little too mean on the Overcharger drone, but let's be real here. There are so many weapons in Multiverse, so many different enemy configurations, and the Overcharger really only excels at 2 purposes: against slow weapons and against enemies that aren't really able to damage you super often or super well. And let's be real, if the Overcharger is a difference between the enemy dealing a lot of damage to you or dealing no damage to you, then you have other problems besides is the Overcharger good? Like, let's be real here. Again, it's not bad, it just isn't something I'm like ecstatic to be using. Like, let's be real here. But moving on from that, onto the end of the video. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, not about me. Don't be concerned about me, but about the tier list. Comment them below. We can discuss about something you agree with, stuff you like, stuff you don't like. I don't know, who cares, right? Well, I care. I'm the person making this video, but open to all discussions. Talk a bit about this. If you liked the video, like and subscribe. If you didn't like the video, still like and subscribe because you're watching this right now. Hope you have a good day. This tier list was pretty fun to make, honestly. I was able to drag it out for, well, like 2 hours, so, you know, surprisingly enough. I probably shouldn't have, but I did, because I felt like I should. That was pretty fun to do, though. I'm kind of just waiting for the track to end. Is it? Okay, I can just end here. Who cares? I'll end on the angel number, the 2:22 p.m. I already did my outro. I don't really know what else I should say. I guess I will talk about that. I guess I recorded my opinion on modded gameplay that I'm doing right now. This has nothing to do with the tier list. The tier list is over at this point. You can just look at it as I talk. Who knows? I'm honestly liking the modded gameplay a lot. Sometimes I'm a bit harsh on maybe on the evaluation, the analysis of balancing and such, but that's just because of who I am, how I enjoy Multiverse. I mean, I don't play a normal. I play on hard extreme. I play to win above a lot of other things, and I don't know. It's been content wise, it's a very exquisite mod. Forgotten Races. It's extremely well designed. But for actual gameplay execution, there's probably a few tweaks I could make in there and there. I talk about more about it in my actual Forgotten Races relevant videos. The tier list here isn't one of them, obviously, but if you're interested in seeing if you're a new viewer here and this the first video you've seen from me, or maybe the second tier list, or if you're not a returning concurrent viewer on my channel, I do have some modded gameplay and just a lot more gameplay of FTL in general. There's vanilla runs, I've got multiverse runs, I've got modded runs, all kinds of crazy shit. So, if you like who I am as a person, I don't see how you would, but if you happen to do that, check out the other shit I make, and, yeah, it's been a pretty fun day. Not really. It's been a fun time making the video, and, yeah, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe for more. Comment down stuff you want to talk about in the comments with the tier list, and yeah, hope I added some depth to your gameplay with drone equipment, and I'll catch you later. Goodbye.